What's up, guys? I picked up this Cannondale mountain bike off of Marketplace recently, and I'm gonna be trying to convert it to like a modern day gravel bike for the first time. So let's put it on the stand. So here it is on the stand. It's an all aluminum frame. It has an aluminum fork. It has the original Dior LX group set. I think originally it was a 3x7 speed. That was like the standard, I guess. And it has cantilever brakes that are proprietary to Cannondale. Original pedals, original stem, handlebars, grips. Yeah, the only thing that wasn't original, to be honest, was one of the crank arms, I guess, was missing. So it looks like the previous owner just got one out of a parts bin and like slapped it on, because it's not the same color and it's also a different size. Like it's 170 millimeters and then the original is like 175. But I don't know. I thought it was quirky, so I'll probably just be keeping it on. So yeah, just getting everything started. I looked it up and I needed to upgrade my freehub body from the 7 speed to the 8 speed. This would be able to fit a 10 speed cassette, and I'm just kind of greasing up all the mating surfaces. I'm using Parks Tools PPL1. I'm not sure if I really needed this. I have a lot of like automotive grease, and I'm almost positive I could have gotten away with using that kind of stuff, but I guess I just wanted to be right using like bike grease and like bike tools. Speaking of tools, I definitely didn't have the right size for this. I used the old Allen key with a really tiny one to fill the gap, and it worked out really well. I got everything tightened up, but I should have gotten like the right size. But just greasing the inside of the freehub body now, because I'm going to be putting in the original bearings. The original bearings were in pretty good shape. They looked actually almost brand new, but they definitely needed to be re-greased because they were super dry. But my first grease job on a freehub body, it's pretty exciting. So yeah, just tightening everything down and giving it like a spin test. It sounds good to me, so. But we're gonna be using the microshift stuff. I'm using their 10 speed cassette, 11 tooth to 48 tooth. So really wide range. I guess that's what you needed for a one by system, since you don't have the two other gears up front. And now that I'm getting the rear wheel pretty much finished up, I'm going to be putting the tires on. So I went with Maxis. They're 26 by 2.2. I thought the brown sidewall would look really good against the green portions of the bike. Oh yeah, but I don't own a floor pump still. I actually just got this hand pump off of the co-op for free, and they also taught me how to change a tire basically. So I'm using what they told me. Just partially inflating the tube before you put it inside the actual tire, and then you can seat it on the rim. They said doing it this way helps prevent against pinch flats where the rim kind of gets stuck in between and punctures a little hole in the tube. So it worked out really well. Obviously, I need a floor pump or just something a bit better than this portable emergency hand pump. So I'll just put it on my purchase list for later. And here's the fork up close. The pepperoni fork. They call it pepperoni fork because of the design, I guess, like the way it looks, which is pretty neat. But there was a pretty big issue I found when I researched up on this fork online, and that there's an active recall on them. So if you have one of these bikes and it has this pepperoni fork on it, if you put a magnet to the steer tube and it sticks, then you're in good shape because it's got the steel steer tube. But if it doesn't stick and then you got the aluminum steer tube, then that's the one that's on recall. Apparently they're prone to crack or bend or even snap, but Cannondale still says that they would service them for you for free. But I would just look into that if you actually own one of these bikes. Yeah, here I'm just reinstalling the original bottom bracket square taper. There's nothing wrong with it when I pulled it out, so I just cleaned it up and decided to reuse it. It was just a bit crusty, so, but it rotated freely from what I could tell. Yeah, just tightening up the bottom bracket, but a lot of the times it was kind of confusing because I didn't know what direction to like turn since half of this stuff is reverse threaded. And I got this seat post from the co-op as well, and I thought it'd look really good in black. But I'll be reusing these crank arms from the bike, and I'm using a narrow wide single chain ring. It's 36 tooth, I believe. Thinking back when I did this, I probably should have gotten like maybe a little bit higher count chain ring, just because now that I've been riding this bike for a little bit, I think it's a little overkill. Like, if this was meant to be like a cargo bike, I think it'd make more sense. But um, the most I have on this bike is just that rear rack and like maybe a bag up front between the handlebars. So a little overkill, but and here this is a rear derailleur extender since the rear cassette is such a wide range. So from 11 tooth to 48 tooth, I have to run one of these so the derailleur arm can actually like extend out all the way. Because look at that, that is like a dinner plate. It didn't even feel that like big when you shop for it online, but like in person, it's insane. Like it looks like a bowl. But yeah, so looking good so far. I'm just putting up the front wheel. I was super excited because it looked like a bike again after being like taken apart for so long. So I was pretty stoked. But I got this saddle off of Marketplace. Some lady had it and it was in mint condition. Like it looked like it wasn't even used. And this is probably my favorite saddle so far, even though I haven't ridden on a lot of bikes. But the handful of bikes I have been on, this was the most comfortable saddle. And it looks really good too. Put it on the original pedals that I had. Um, I did want to swap these eventually, but they work good. You know, they're holding grease inside, and the only thing that's wrong with them really is just one cracked deflector. So, and now onto the brakes. So, yeah, proprietary Cannondale cantilever brakes. It's pretty interesting. This is the first brakes I've ever worked on a bike. And apparently they're not regular cantilevers. Like they almost work like a V brake system. But I took them all apart, cleaned them all up, and then I'm putting some quick stop pads on there. And I thought the orange looked really good too. I don't remember why I was wearing gloves. I think my hands just got really dry, like touching all the stuff from the bike. But yeah, the brakes got dialed in. And this was a little confusing for me for the first time, was trying to size the chain. I read a bunch of guides saying you need like two chain like links overage or like coverage. And I don't know, everything said something different, but I just followed like a general rule of thumb with the whole like two chains over. So it worked out pretty well. And this is probably the most unusual part that I didn't think I'd have to do, but I was online trying to find a threadless cool stem, and I couldn't because the it only takes 1 1/4 size, and everything else was 1 1/8. So I had to make one. I took the original stem off and I just kind of chopped off the extension portion. I got this tip off of some guy from Reddit. So he said if you're handy with a Dremel, you could just do this. So I'm just trying to shave off the welds now. And yeah, it was just because literally nothing was available online that I had to do this. But it worked out really well. So now I have basically a kind of DIY threadless quill stem. So that was pretty cool. I'm greasing it up now, just putting it back in. Part of me was scared because I didn't know if it was gonna just kind of randomly drop like all the way through the head tube, but it worked out great. And this is the reason why I did it. It was just so I could run these bars. I thought these bars were so sick. These are the corner bars from Shirley, but I have like a ripped off version because I wanted them to also be aluminum. So yeah, this is just some cheap imitation one, but they work just as good, and they're a lot lighter. But yeah, I think it looks so sick. And I'm just doing the cabling now. This was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. It was just kind of measuring everything out. In hindsight, I should have just kept the original cables so I can not have to do any of this and just cut them to match the same size, but I wasn't really thinking about that at the time. And getting all the stuff set up for the shifting was pretty easy too. I went on Microshift's website and they just had everything listed on how to do everything and like the tension you need and all the adjustment screws and everything. So kudos to Microshift. I got some cable ends tightened with some pliers, which probably isn't the best method, but it works. And this part took me so long. I think this part took me the longest out of everything. It was putting on this bar tape. And this is double speed, by the way. It's probably took me like a solid hour, maybe an hour and a half, because I was just so scared of messing up. Even though this isn't even expensive bar tape, like I think this was like 15 bucks. But I just wanted to come out really good, you know? So I had YouTube open like while doing this, trying to wrap all of it, because all the guides I found were how to wrap, I guess, like road bike handlebars. And these weren't the same shape really, so I had to figure out like towards the end. But they came out really good. It was just, like I said, this was nerve wracking. I was like, oh, I really don't want to mess this up, you know? Because then I'd have to wait like another few days to get more bar tape or something. And then if I mess that up again, it just sucks. So it worked out really well, and I think it looks really good. I like the shade of the brown, and it just kind of goes with everything. And yeah, here's the finished bike. I've been riding it for about like 2 months now, I think, and I got everything dialed in. The brakes are good, the shifting's great. The gearing, like I said before, I think it is a little bit overkill for what I need. Like, this is definitely for someone who's like bike packing and has like a heavy load on the bike. But yeah, so I plan on upgrading or swapping out the front chainring to a bigger chain tooth count. I'm thinking more like 42, maybe 46. Um, yeah, but fantastic ride so far. I've been having a blast. Um, yeah, this charge saddle is so good. Like it's so comfortable. And then the rear rack is really helpful. I just like strap my camera bag on there and I'm ready to go. And the only thing I will say is that I don't really enjoy the brakes too much. I think they're really good. Like I stop on a dime, but they just feel mushy. Like they're really dialed in. They just feel really mushy. And then the last thing is I wanted a stem cap, but since I did this DIY thing, I don't really have one, so it's just kind of like an open hole. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I had a blast doing all this. I want to make another bike, maybe like a road bike. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.